Imagine this: a life lived in the shadows, just on the edges of your own potential. A world where the volume is always turned down, where your dreams are whispers, your voice is muted, and your heart is locked in a vault of its own making. For the avoidant, this isn't just a bad day. This is a lifetime. It's a prison of perceived safety, where the walls are built brick by brick from every unmet need, every disappointment, every time you told yourself, it's better not to feel, not to need, not to want. But let me tell you something. Inside that prison, the human spirit doesn't die. It waits, it yearns, it screams for oxygen. And there comes a moment, a single decisive, powerful moment, when that spirit decides it's had enough. The day an avoidance starts healing is the day everything changes. It's not a gentle sunrise, it's a tectonic shift. It's the crack in the dam that unleashes a tidal wave of life, of possibility, of a future you were convinced was only for other people. This is not a small thing. This is the moment you go from being a spectator of your own life to taking the driver's seat, grabbing the wheel with both hands and screaming, "Now, it's my turn." The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but for the avoidant, that first step isn't just a step. It's a leap of faith off a cliff into the unknown, trusting that you'll grow wings on the way down. For years, for decades, your entire operating system has been built around one core directive: avoid. Avoid conflict, avoid neediness, avoid the terrifying vulnerability of depending on someone else. You've built a fortress, and inside that fortress you felt safe. You were the king or queen of your own empty castle. But that safety was an illusion, a cage made of familiar bars. And then comes the moment, the catalyst. It might be a relationship that finally crumbles under the weight of your silence. It might be a dream you watched pass you by because you were too afraid to reach for it. It might be a simple, quiet moment of looking in the mirror and not recognizing the person staring back, a ghost in their own life. And in that moment, you have a choice. The same choice you've had every day: to retreat, to numb, to distract. But this time, something is different. This time, the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of the unknown. This time, a spark of life, a flicker of that primal, powerful self that you buried long ago says no more. This is the courageous decision. It's not a feeling of confidence, it's an action taken in spite of the terror. It's picking up the phone to call a therapist when every fiber of your being is screaming to hang up. It's looking your partner in the eye and saying, "We need to talk," when your old pattern would be to disappear into work or hobbies. It's standing at the edge of the emotional abyss you spent a lifetime running from and deciding, "Today, I'm going to step into it. I'm going to feel what I've been so afraid to feel." This decision is the most important one you will ever make, because it is the moment you reclaim your agency. You are no longer a passive recipient of your childhood programming or your defensive patterns. You are now an active participant in your own liberation. It's the moment you trade the miserable comfort of the known for the terrifying, exhilarating possibility of the real, the raw, the authentic. This decision is the spark that ignites the entire process, the single domino that, when tipped, sets off a chain reaction that will dismantle the old world and begin construction on the new. And it requires you to muster every ounce of strength to choose the temporary discomfort of growth over the permanent paralysis of fear, launching you from the stagnant shallows into the vast, unpredictable, and profoundly alive depths of a life truly lived. Healing for the avoidant isn't just a conversation you have with a therapist. It's a full-scale renovation of your body's most primal survival system. For so long, your nervous system has been your overzealous bodyguard, misinterpreting emotional closeness as a threat, intimacy as danger. A raised voice wasn't just a disagreement. It was a siren blaring, flooding your body with cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you to flee or freeze. A simple need for connection would trigger a shutdown, a retreat into a protective shell. Your body learned this, it memorized it, it became its default setting. So when you make that courageous decision to heal, you're not just dealing with thoughts, you're dealing with a physiology wired for isolation. The work is to teach this ancient, wise, but misguided system a new truth: that connection is safety, that a gentle touch is not a prelude to pain, that a difficult conversation is not a life or death battle. This is where the real gritty work happens in the body. It's in the practice of sitting with the intense physical discomfort that arises when someone gets too close. And instead of running, you take a deep, conscious breath into your belly. You feel your feet on the ground. You notice the tension in your shoulders and you consciously release it. You are, in that moment, reprogramming your entire being. You are using your breath as a tool to signal to your amygdala, your brain's alarm center, that you are safe, that you are present, that you are not under attack. This is the work of somatic experiencing, of mindfulness, of yoga, of any practice that reunites the mind with the body. It's learning to recognize the early warning signs of hypervigilance, the quickening pulse, the shallow breath, and to intervene with a conscious act of calming the nervous system. It's about creating new positive reference experiences for your body. When you lean into a hug and allow yourself to feel the warmth and connection, instead of the panic, you are creating a new neural pathway. When you state a boundary and the world doesn't end, your body learns that assertiveness is safe. This is slow, patient, repetitive work. It's not glamorous. It's not about a breakthrough line in a therapy session. It's about the 1,000 tiny moments where you choose to stay present in the mild discomfort until your body learns it can handle it. You are literally building a new physiological foundation, one where your body is no longer a prison of panic, but a grounded vessel capable of containing the full spectrum of human emotion, from profound joy to deep sorrow without needing to flee, finally creating a home within yourself where you can reside in peace and welcome others in, without the constant, exhausting background hum of a threat that never comes. For the avoidant, the internal world is a cacophony of unspoken words, a symphony of stifled needs and silenced desires. You have spent a lifetime becoming a master of mind reading, anticipating what others want from you and contorting yourself to meet those expectations, all in a desperate, unspoken bargain. If I make myself easy to be with, if I never rock the boat, if I have no needs, then I will be safe, then I will be loved. But the cost of that bargain is your very soul. You become a ghost in your own relationships, a pleasant, agreeable phantom whose own desires are so foreign they feel like a dangerous rebellion. The healing process, therefore, demands that you find your voice in the void. It requires you to learn a new language, the language of self-advocacy. This begins with the monumental task of even identifying what you need or want. It's sitting in the silence and asking yourself the radical question, what do I feel? What would make this situation better for me? And then comes the even more terrifying part, giving that feeling, that need, a voice. It starts small. I feel tired. I need to sit down. I would prefer to see this movie instead of that one. It feels awkward, selfish, even cruel. But it is none of those things. It is the most fundamental act of self-respect. This then expands into the realm of boundaries, which are not walls to keep people out but gates to define who you are. A boundary is simply your personal property line. It's saying, this is acceptable to me, and this is not. I am willing to do this, but I'm not willing to do that. For someone who has lived with porous or non-existent boundaries, this feels like declaring war. You will feel the anxiety rise. You will anticipate the disappointment, the anger, the rejection of the other person. But here is the miracle. When you state your need or your boundary with clarity and calmness, you are not just communicating with the other person, you are communicating with yourself. You are telling the deepest, most wounded part of you, you matter, your needs are valid, your presence is non-negotiable, and whether the other person accepts it or not, you have already won the most important battle. You have stood for yourself. You have shifted from being a passive participant in your relationships to a co-creator. This is how you build relationships that are real, that are based on the truth of who you are, not on the facade of who you think you need to be. It is the process of transforming a lifetime of silent compliance into the empowered, clear, and compassionate language of a person who knows their own worth and is no longer afraid to occupy space and be seen and heard for exactly who they are. It is so easy, so seductive, to live in the story of what was done to you, to point to the parents who were emotionally distant, to the peers who rejected you, to the betrayals that taught you it was safer to be alone. This blame story becomes your identity, your excuse, the cage that justifies your confinement. And while your pain is real and your history is valid, healing demands a profound shift from being a historian of your wounds to being the architect of your future. This is radical self-ownership. It is not about blaming yourself for what happened. It is about empowering yourself with the response. It's the realization that while you may not have had control over the circumstances that shaped you, you have 100% responsibility for what you do with them now. This is the moment you trade in the why for the what. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? and you start asking, what does this experience make possible? What strength did I develop as a result? What is the gift in this curse? This reframe is everything. It takes you out of a victim mentality and plugs you into a source of personal power you didn't know you had. You begin to see that your avoidant patterns, as painful as they are, were once brilliant survival strategies. They kept you safe as a child. They helped you navigate a world that felt overwhelming. You thank that old part of you for its service, and then you gently, firmly tell it, I've got it from here. This is where you stop letting your past dictate your present reactions. When you feel the urge to withdraw, you pause and you ask, am I withdrawing because there is a real threat here, or am I reacting to an old ghost? This level of self-awareness is the bedrock of self-ownership. It means you no longer get to use your history as a get-out-of-jail-free card for behaviors that harm you and your relationships. You claim your agency. You recognize that you are the author, the editor, and the publisher of the next chapter of your life. The old pages are written, they are part of the story, but they are not the conclusion. You get to decide the theme, the plot twists, the character development. This is an incredibly empowering, albeit daunting, realization. It means the buck stops with you. There is no one left to blame. But in that seeming burden lies your greatest freedom, because if you are responsible for your life, then you also have the power to change it, to shape it, to mold it into a masterpiece of resilience, connection, and purpose that could only have been forged in the fires of your own unique struggles. At the very core of the avoidant adaptation lies a deeply buried, often unconscious core belief. I am a burden. I am too much. My needs are an inconvenience. At my core, I am unworthy of love and connection, and if people truly see me, they will leave. This is the foundational wound, the cracked lens through which every interaction is filtered. Every act of avoidance is ultimately an act of protecting others from the perceived burden of your existence. Healing, therefore, is not complete until this core belief is challenged, dismantled, and replaced. This is the intimacy paradigm shift. It's a fundamental rewiring of your deepest identity. It doesn't happen through positive affirmations you don't believe. It happens through the accumulation of new contrary evidence. It happens in therapy when you share your darkest shame and are met with compassion, not disgust. It happens in a relationship when you risk expressing a need and your partner not only meets it, but is grateful you trusted them enough to ask. It happens in friendship when you show up as your anxious, insecure self and are met with love and acceptance. Each of these experiences is a drop of water on the stone of your unworthiness, and over time, it begins to wear it down. You start to internalize a new truth. My needs are human. My presence is a gift. My love is valuable. This shift changes everything about intimacy. It is no longer a terrifying high-wire act where one misstep will lead to a fall. It becomes a sacred space of mutual offering. You begin to understand that vulnerability is not a weakness, it is the ultimate currency of trust. It is the bridge that connects one soul to another. When you share a fear and someone holds it with care, a bond is forged that is stronger than any bond built on perfection or performance. This paradigm shift allows you to receive love, not just perform for it. You can accept a compliment without deflecting it. You can accept help without feeling like a failure. You can be in a conflict and know that the relationship is not necessarily in jeopardy, that you can repair and reconnect. This is where the loneliness that has haunted you for a lifetime begins to dissolve. It is replaced by a sense of belonging, not because you found the perfect person, but because you brought your whole, authentic, imperfect self to the connection and discovered that you were worthy of it all along. The fortress door is not just opened, it is dismantled. And the no trespassing sign is replaced with a welcome mat, inviting others to know the real you. Finally understanding that you are not a burden to be tolerated, but a soul to be cherished, and that your capacity for deep, secure, and powerful connection was always there, waiting for you to believe you were worthy of turning the key. Your healing is never, ever just for you. It may feel like the most selfish, introspective journey you've ever undertaken, but I am here to tell you that it is the exact opposite. It is your greatest gift to the world. When you heal your avoidant patterns, you are not just fixing a broken part, you are unleashing a unique and powerful force of nature that the world desperately needs. Think about it. You have spent a lifetime developing an incredible capacity for observation, for self-reliance, for deep thinking. You have a strength that comes from navigating the world alone. But previously, that strength was locked away, used only for self-preservation. Now, as you heal, you get to take that same strength and channel it outward. Your ability to be self-contained becomes a grounded presence that others can lean on. Your keen observational skills become a source of profound empathy and insight for those around you. You stop being a drain on the emotional energy of your relationships. Because let's be honest, walking on eggshells is exhausting for everyone, and you become a source of stability, authenticity, and genuine connection. Your journey becomes a living testament to what is possible. You become a beacon for every other person who is trapped in their own fortress of fear. Without saying a word, your very presence communicates it is possible to heal. It is possible to feel safe in connection. It is possible to come home to yourself. You break generational curses, the patterns of emotional distance and isolation that may have run in your family for generations stop with you. You create a new legacy for your children, your friends, your community, a legacy of vulnerability, of courage, of love that is both given and received. This is how you change the world, not with a grand sweeping gesture, but with the quiet, relentless courage to do your own work. By choosing to show up, to feel, to connect, you give everyone around you permission to do the same. You create a ripple effect of authenticity that spreads far beyond your immediate circle. The love you were once so afraid to ask for, once you learn to let it in, will overflow from you and touch everyone you meet. Your healed heart becomes a sanctuary for others. Your story of moving from the shadows into the light becomes a roadmap for those still lost in the dark. This is your purpose. This is your power. To take the very pain that once imprisoned you and alchemize it into your greatest contribution, proving that our deepest wounds, when courageously faced, do not have to be our end, but can become the very source of our strength, and the foundation upon which we build a life of profound meaning and impact, leaving a legacy of love where there was once only the echo of isolation. This journey from the silent prison of avoidance to the vibrant, sometimes messy, but always alive landscape of connection is the most important pilgrimage you will ever undertake. It is a path that leads you not to a distant land, but back to the very core of who you were always meant to be, before the world taught you to be afraid, before you learned to build walls instead of bridges. It demands everything of you, your courage, your commitment, your willingness to face the storms within, but in return it offers you the one thing you've been searching for your entire life. The profound and unshakable experience of being truly, wholly, and unconditionally yourself, in connection with others and at peace within your own skin. Remember, this is not a linear process. There will be days when you feel like you've taken 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, moments when the old patterns feel safer, and the siren song of isolation is deafening. But in those moments, I need you to remember the spark that ignited this journey, that first courageous decision to change. I need you to remember the feeling of your feet on the ground, the power of your own voice stating a need, the glimmer of worthiness that told you that you were meant for more than a life lived in the shadows. Hold on to those memories as your anchor, for when you persist, you are not just healing yourself, you are participating in a much larger story. You are proving that it is possible to break free from the chains of the past. You are demonstrating that vulnerability is the birthplace of not only intimacy, but also of immense personal power. You are transforming your life from a cautionary tale of fear into a masterclass in courage, showing everyone who witnesses your transformation that change is not only possible, but it is available to anyone who is willing to do the work. So step into this new identity, embrace the person you are becoming, the one who feels deeply, loves openly, and stands firmly in their own worth. Let your healed presence be a light that guides others out of their own darkness. Let your story be a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and its infinite capacity for growth, love, and connection. The day an avoidant starts healing, everything changes. That day is not a date on a calendar, it is a decision you make and remake every single day. It is the decision to choose life, to choose love, to choose yourself. And from this day forward, your life will never be the same. Thank you. Thank you for your courage in being here. Not just in this room, but in this work, in this journey toward your own magnificent becoming. Go out from this place and live with your hearts open, your voices clear, and your spirits unbreakable. Remember who you truly are. Now go and make it a powerful day. Goodbye.